You're deep in the desert at night. Stars glow overhead, silence everywhere. Then, whispers. A voice exactly like yours, calling your name. Suddenly, an animal steps into the moonlight, but it walks like a person. Its eyes burn with something ancient. No gun, no backup, just you and the skinwalker. The Navajo people have lived in the American Southwest for hundreds of years. Among their stories is one that chills listeners to their bones. It's about a creature called a skinwalker, a witch who can turn into animals. These witches used to be medicine men or women. They helped people with healing. But then something changed. They chose dark magic instead. They learned to shift into coyotes, owls, deer, or even ravens, taking on animal form to sneak through the night. But something else made them terrifying. The ability to speak in other people's voices and to reach into your mind. Some say they can make you see things that aren't real. Navajo elders warn, never say a skinwalker's name. Don't repeat its legend, because calling it out in stories may let it hear you. Sergeant Miller was part of the National Guard. They came to the desert for a training exercise in August. The area was wide and open, dry, with low brush and twisted trees. That first night, Miller's unit set up camp near an old wash. Tents glowed with soft lamplight. A clean fire burned low. Radios hummed softly. No one expected anything strange, just desert bugs and the occasional scuttling rodent. But Miller couldn't sleep. He heard something shifting, just past the firelight, like a footstep too big for any rabbit. He went out to look, but saw nothing. Still, the feeling stayed. Someone, or something, watched them. Around midnight, Miller and Private Gomez stood guard. Heat had turned to cold. They watched the fire's glow fade into darkness. Suddenly, Gomez motioned, silently. Miller shined his flashlight toward the trees. Two glowing eyes reflected back. They were high, too high for a coyote. Miller whispered, "Deer? Ranger?" The eyes stayed perfectly still. Then, a voice echoed, "Sergeant Miller? Private Gomez?" It was Miller's voice. Exactly. He swung around. Gomez stared at him, confused and pale. They fired flares. The sudden lights revealed only desert darkness. The eyes, the creature, were gone. Next night, Miller's unit moved deeper into the desert. They set up at an old dry riverbed. Night came again. A storm whipped up. Wind rattled tents. Lightning flashed. And then came a low growl. Through lightning's flashes, they saw it. It looked like a big dog, or maybe a man wearing a dog's hide. It stood upright on two legs. It stared from the edge of the camp. Then it did something strange. It dropped on all fours and trotted away. One Marine called out and threw a flare. For a split second, they saw the creature's shoulders hunched, long arms, coyote fur dripping wet from the ground. Then it melted into the darkness. Over the next 2 nights, Miller's squad took turns standing guard. Every shift had the same silence, the same pressure. One night, Miller heard footsteps circling the camp. Dust raised in slow puffs, not like an animal galloping, but like someone walking carefully. He flashed his light. Nothing. Then, from behind, came a whisper. "It's okay." Miller spun around. No one, just desert wind. But something had spoken, and not in his voice this time. It had used another soldier's voice. Miller decided they needed proof. He set a thermal camera facing away from camp. He stayed up to watch. At around 2:15 a.m., he saw a cold form creeping into its field of view, small at first. Then, it sat up like a rabbit. Only this rabbit stayed perfectly still. Then, it turned its head a full 180 degrees. That made Miller's blood run cold. His hair stood up. He radioed the team. But before they could respond, the creature vanished. The camera recorded only empty desert. On the fifth night, their nerves snapped. Half the company moved camp closer to the road. Miller, Gomez, and 2 others stayed behind with orders for perimeter watch. Between 3 and 4 a.m., they heard a pounding on the large ammo crate near their tents. Then it came again. Tablets of wood cracked like bones. Gomez shined a flashlight. The crate door swung slowly. No one inside. Then the door banged shut. Gomez jumped back. Miller fired a flare just in time to see a tall shape slip away. Fur, bent limbs, and that horrible cold glow. They called it in. Base leadership told them it was likely a large dog, maybe a coyote, but none of them believed it. Heart pounding, Miller called for a limited patrol. They brought night vision goggles and a tracker dog. At 4:30 a.m., just before dawn, the dog froze and barked. Something moved slowly among the shadows. 2 flashlights scanned the brush. At first, they saw nothing. Then, the creature appeared. Not running, not hiding, just filing across the sand on all 4s, human shoulders hunched, walking like someone on a strange, twisted spider. Miller froze it with his rifle sight. It did something unthinkable. It let out a high-pitched laugh, a short, coughing bark, and then it vanished into dust. By sunrise, word had spread. Some soldiers insisted it was a coyote, a hallucination, or overtired minds playing tricks. But others agreed. Those glowing eyes, that laugh, the way it spoke, they packed up fast and left. Miller watched the desert fade behind the Humvees. And though the sun was bright, he felt like the darkest thing in the world had followed them home. He turned to see Gomez staring out the rear window, pale and silent. Miller whispered, "We leave it there." Gomez didn't respond. A few weeks later, Miller visited an old Navajo elder's home on a different assignment. By firelight, he told the elder the story. The elder nodded silently. After Miller finished, he spoke softly. "A skinwalker heard your voices in the dark. It followed you. It tested you to drive fear into your hearts. You must never speak its name again." Miller realized this wasn't over, because they told the creature about themselves. They gave it a foothold. Tonight, he said in his mind, he'd keep a candle burning by his window, because he could not be sure that the skinwalker would ever truly leave. True or myth, no one can say. But Sergeant Miller left training different that day. He doesn't sit quietly anymore. He keeps far from dark trees and silent woods. At night, he hears every rustle and waits for that whisper. Sergeant Miller. He fears he left a door open. And even if you don't believe his story, remember this. In the dark places, when the wind stops, listen carefully. If you hear something walking that shouldn't, if you hear a voice that sounds just like yours, you might not be alone, and you might wish you were far, far away. Thanks for listening to the Warfare Chronicles. If you liked the story and want to hear more, make sure to like and subscribe. New episodes drop every week. War stories, mysteries, and the things that were never meant to be found. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and stay out of the dark.